Okay, let's get started with the briefing. What has changed? We do have more confidence now and more of a center cone track with a Louisiana landfall. We've been talking about some models and how they were tracking the storm a little bit closer to the Texas-Louisiana border, and those have shifted a little bit more east now, so better agreement with more of a center cone track. Also, with this briefing, we want to emphasize a bit more the potential for high surf and beach erosion and coastal flooding, especially along the Gulf facing beaches. Starting tomorrow and especially tomorrow night into Friday night, even though the hurricane may be tracking offshore, it's going to generate some pretty significant waves that then propagate toward the coast. So we saw this with Laura, of course, and we're likely to see this sort of thing again. And we do have a coastal flood watch in effect really for the entire Gulf Coast and Galveston Bay. So here's a look at the updated track. Not too different, but as I said, we're a little more confident now in a track more along the center of that cone. Of course, there still is some uncertainty, as you know, we're still 48 hours out, but we are a little bit more confident that it will be more on the Louisiana side. The Delta has actually weakened somewhat more today, now a Category 1 hurricane, but it is expected to re-strengthen back to a Cat 3 over the next 36 hours as it tracks northwest and then north across the Gulf of Mexico. As I said, more confident now in a landfall somewhere in the southwest or south central Louisiana zone there. And you can see the time there, 1 p.m. Friday, give or take. There still is some uncertainty in the speed of the storm, but that's the most likely at this point. Greatest impact for our area will likely be high surf, beach erosion, and coastal flooding along the Gulf-facing beaches. And if anyone out there is not muted, make sure you mute yourself. Getting a little bit of feedback. Tropical storm force winds also possible. We do have some of our area in a tropical storm watch, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And you can see the hurricane watch on this map in pink, and it's bracketed by tropical storm watches, which include part of our area. And as I said, a coastal flood watch has been issued. This is new for the Texas Gulf Coast and Galveston Bay. Here's a look at Delta now as emerged off of the Yucatan and is coming out over the Gulf. Has weakened somewhat, as we said, but expected to strengthen back to a Category 3. Wind timing, this is very similar to what we briefed this morning. Looks to reach the coast. Tropical storm force winds look to reach the coast sometime around Friday morning, both for Louisiana and the upper Texas coast. The greatest chances of tropical storm force winds are upper Texas coast across Louisiana, but quite high all the way down across Galveston Bay and down the coast a bit. And then they get a bit lower across our western counties. So folks there around Matagorda Bay and further north, you just have a small chance of seeing tropical storm force winds there. Looking at the chance of more high-end tropical storm force, 58 mile per hour or higher, and you see then the focus is more on Louisiana and maybe the far eastern part of Texas. Galveston Bay, the chance for these sustained 58 mile per hour winds only 5 to 10%. So you kind of get the picture here. We'll probably see kind of a large area of maybe 35 to 50 mile per hour tropical storm force winds, but those real higher end winds are going to be more to the east most likely. Same story here for the hurricane force wind threat. Does seem to be focused more on Louisiana with some small probabilities there on the far eastern part of Texas. Rainfall, as we've been saying, not really expecting a flood threat with this. It's moving quickly and tracking to our east. So that type of situation, usually it doesn't imply any kind of flooding for us. And you can see the rainfall forecast only an inch or two, maybe in our far eastern counties like Chambers and Liberty, maybe just being on the edge of that heavier rain area. But most of that rain is going to fall near and a little bit to the right of the track. So if you think back to Laura, there is an analogy there as well where some areas, many areas actually didn't get any rain from Laura. And this storm may be a bit bigger than Laura, but it's going to, again, have most of the rain to our east. In terms of the storm surge from Delta, this is kind of a regional view. What these numbers represent are depth of water above ground for low-lying areas. And so for our area, really from Port O'Connor up to High Island, we're looking for a general 1 to 3 feet above ground in our vulnerable low-lying areas. And you can see how that really ratchets up as you get near into the right of the track, where they're looking at upwards of 7 to 11 feet over parts of south central and southeast Louisiana. So again, as far as the surge goes, we're just getting kind of the fringe effects. But as we recall from Laura, even on the left side of a stronger hurricane, like we're dealing with again, you're going to get quite a bit of wave action and coastal flooding, even on the left side. And so that's kind of the situation that we're facing here. I won't show quite as many of these. Actually, I've sort of combined here. We've got Galveston Bay tide gauge upper left, Freeport lower left. These are both Gulf-facing sites. And you see the similar picture here as far as timing of when those higher water levels are coming in. Looks like Thursday night, Friday, and even Friday night look to be our periods of concern. Again, the black line there indicates the forecast water level, and the gray shading indicates sort of a range of possibilities. And so these numbers could actually shift a little bit higher depending on how big the storm is and how it comes in. But we're looking at mean water levels 4 to 4.5 feet in general along the Gulf Coast. And then you have to remember, you have to add the effects of waves on top of that. So even though the numbers themselves might imply minor coastal flooding, when you add the effects of the waves, you can get some more significant coastal flooding and erosion occurring. And for the bay, Eagle Point, upper left, kind of represents the western part of Galveston Bay. There we're looking at 3.5 to 4.5 feet. Water levels a couple feet above normal there. And that's going to occur most likely late Thursday night, Friday morning, and then Friday night. And then Friday night, the situation probably will be again looking more at the bay sides of the islands, the north-facing beaches, because by that time we get into Friday night, our winds will be more northerly, and that can pile up water on the bay side of Galveston Island and Bolivar, for example. So we saw that with Laura, and we're likely going to see that again here. This I showed this morning, the progression of sea heights, wave heights generated by the storm, initially out over the waters, but you can see by Thursday morning we start to see some of those waves reaching the coastline. Usually the first waves that arrive are what we call long period swell that carry a lot of energy and a lot of mass. So even tomorrow, we'll see those waves really running up on the beaches, and then the highest probably surf combined with the high water levels will be Thursday night and Friday. So just some takeaways. Probably the biggest impact from this storm, based on the current forecast track, will be the high surf and swells reaching the Texas coast tomorrow, and add to that the elevated tides that are coming in more tomorrow night into Friday night, and we're looking at significant beach erosion and potential for moderate coastal flooding. Especially along the Gulf-facing beaches, but there will be water pushed up into the bays as well. tropical storm force winds possible in this tropical storm watch area, which extends from San Luis Pass on north and includes Galveston Bay. So look for that too, mainly Thursday night and Friday. Not really looking at flooding or tornadoes with this system, given where we're at on the left-hand side of the track. And always that disclaimer that the exact numbers and values we see are going to depend on that track size and intensity of the storm. And although confidence has increased in the track today, we still have some uncertainty in some of these details. So the overall confidence has come up a little bit today. You know, we are confident we are going to see these surge and high surf impacts. Lower confidence on the exact track, but we do have more than we did even this morning, that we are thinking more of a center cone track. That can change. You know, we still have 36 to 48 hours to go before landfall, so we still have to monitor. And that's kind of sums up where we're at. I hope you can hear me. I do see a typed in report that my audio is out.
We can hear you, Dan.
Okay, all right, good. Maybe it was just a glitch. All right. So what I'm going to do now is